What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Real Estate Deal Weekly Breakdown, or REI Deal Breakdown, whatever I call it here. My goal in this video is to talk to you about a real life deal that I did, that I bought and sold or bought and rented. And hopefully you can get some value from this video and you can take some lessons from it and apply it in your own business, whether you're brand new, if you're experienced. So if you're not familiar with me, my name is Greg Helbeck. I bought well over 100 houses in 3 of the toughest areas in the entire United States. Getting a phone call there. Dallas, Texas, the New York City area, and San Diego, California. So those are 3 tough markets, and we've done pretty well over there. So anyway, if you are brand new and you do get value, once again, if you could like this video and subscribe to my channel, it'd mean a lot to me. So anyway, today I'm going to talk about a house that I wholesaled in National City, California, which is basically in San Diego. I think it's 2 towns. It was 2 cities below San Diego, so it's in the San Diego County region. And long story short, the way I found this deal was I call it a deep skip trace. So basically it was a vacant house in National City. I actually drove by it, not intentionally, but I found I was on a list and it was vacant and the owner wasn't alive. And I'm like, I gotta check this out. So I drove down there, took a look at it. The house was a shithole. And I ended up getting in touch with someone who knew the owner, and then they gave me the owner's daughter's number, and I called her up, and originally she was not motivated at all. So I said, okay, no problem. I'm gonna follow up with you. And long story short, I actually dropped the ball on the follow-up, and I hired my assistant, Anna. And if you're watching this, Anna, you're freaking awesome. She followed up with Laura about a year later, and it was a perfect time for her to sell a house at a discount. She had something going on in her life. She needed to sell this property. She didn't want to deal with it. She's up in San Francisco, property's down in San Diego, and she was really motivated to sell this house. And we came up with a price that was reasonable considering the condition of the property. I personally never went there, never met her in person, never met the buyer in person, and I never stepped foot on the premises of the property. I drove by there a year before, but anyway, someone else went and checked out the property for me. It was actually on the East Coast when this whole deal happened. So long story short, I think we got it for $275. I think it was the price. It was cheap as hell in San Diego numbers. And I assigned it for $55,000 assignment fee or something like that. I had to pay a realtor $5,000. I think I ended up walking away with $50,000, or it might have been a $60,000 assignment, paid the realtor $5,000. I forget the numbers, but it was about a $50,000 profit. And long story short, the lesson on this deal was it was in such bad shape. Normally, if it's a San Diego wholesale deal, you can sell it 2 seconds. You got 3 or 4 bidders on it. This one, I only had 2 bidders on it. And it went to someone who was going to either knock the house down or do a bunch of ADUs, which are basically additional units on the lot, and ended up making a good profit on it. So what are some lessons I learned on this deal? Number 1, the fortune is literally in the follow-up, and this doofus right here you're looking at didn't follow up that well, but his assistant, Anna, if you're watching this, did, and she ended up getting that deal for me. So you got to follow up with sellers, especially when properties are beat up and they're vacant. A lot of people might not want to sell right now, but if you just stay on top of them, they have this vacant house that it's a liability because no one's renting it. And there could be people breaking in and whatnot. And if you follow up with them when the time is right, they're going to be really motivated to sell and really reasonable to sell at a discount. So got to follow up. Number 2 is at the end of the day, if you have a property in a high-end area like San Diego, even though $275 is cheap for the area, you can really make a lot of money on wholesale deals, right? A lot of people are oh my gosh, San Diego is so competitive, New York is so expensive, yada, yada, yada. And it's true. They're both expensive, and San Diego is more competitive than New York. But when you're operating in an area where the properties are worth more than $400,000 on average, in San Diego it's $900,000, in New York it's $450,000, you're going to do less volume most likely, but your spreads are going to be so much bigger. I'd rather do fewer deals and make bigger profits than do 10 deals a month and make $10,000 a deal. I mean, that just doesn't really interest me. That's not that sexy. I'd rather do 4, 5, 6 deals a month and make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a deal, right? Sometimes 80, sometimes 100, right? So I'd rather do bigger deals. And if you're in a high competitive, expensive market, it's going to be harder to buy. It's going to be easier to sell, and your profits are going to be higher. So hopefully you enjoyed my video on the property we did in National City. If you got value today, if you could subscribe to the channel and like the video, and also if you're local to San Diego or if you're local to the Hudson Valley in New York, please, if you want to JV with me, email me, greg@velocityhousebuyers.com, and we can do a deal together. Talk soon. Bye-bye.